the heck?
Welcome to another time, another minute with us in it.
Okay, where are you at here? Okay, let's hope that goes on in a minute. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh no, it's a replicant from Blade Runner.
You're lucky my scissors aren't long enough.
Chris had a sister. For you Blade Runner fans out here. Yeah, it's hard to be a fan. I didn't see the new Blade Runner movie, but anyway, welcome everybody. Hey, as to give a formal introduction of our, we're going to put it on the bar at some point. But Deb is our veteran haunted one.
Yes, total veteran haunted.
And she's our producer, our official co-host. And she's been with the show for 11 years one way or another, whatever name it was. And Michael Norton is our correspondent in the land of the People's Republic of California.
My hair is too flat.
M16 Ministries. And Christopher is our intern. Hey, give me some coffee, Christopher. Christopher's our intern. He spent 7 years in the seminary before he realized that, hey, I got something else I want to do. And I like that gal over there. And he is a state licensed therapist, drug rehab and alcohol rehab. So just to give you a little background, you can't assume people know who these people are. And, of course, we are the real deals, Brother Kenneth and Sister Farah Rose. We are real Franciscans, real Roman Catholics. Recognized by and therefore considered, to know what we're talking about. All right? Okay, let's move on. Yeah.
As Lawrence Welk would say.
What would he say?
Hi, Michelle.
A 1, a 2, and a 3.
I got my...
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, let me humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roams the world, seeking to ruin the souls. Amen. Okay. Hey, I didn't do my name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Hold on a second. Like the video, you guys. See the little thumbs button right up there? Like the video.
Sarah's in the house with her 80s hair tonight.
And subscribe, because we like you. Yes, we do. We want to see you again.
I like the 80s outfits and 80s
like
girls. I don't like the dark goth looking and the straight greasy hair.
You know what? Who cares about Grease? This whole hour is going to be about Grease.
Is it?
So, folks, put your seatbelts on. It's going to get a little slimy tonight. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Doris. Hi, Cecilia. Hi, Jennifer. Zoma. You guys are so sweet. Okay, who's got some thumbs?
Hello.
Hello. Is everybody here?
Hi, everybody in the comment section, by the way.
Everybody here?
Type in hello.
Hello. We still have people here.
No, I got a key that won't work right now. Oh, come on. Hey, someone didn't like that we're being silly on the show too much, but hey.
Who didn't like that?
Don't you need Hawkeye and MASH?
Who didn't like that we were being too silly?
Someone on YouTube, probably a fan, and they were looking for information and they didn't get it.
Okay, fine. I'm going to permanently cross my eyes.
We've got to lighten it up. That's what happens when you're in the business for, okay, Harpo.
Better?
So that's amazing. As usual, we have a few things to talk about.
You think?
Yes, we do.
Possibly?
Over here
merciful. Hi, Kevin. Mm-hmm. Kevin called from his armchair to say the aliens are waving at him again.
Oh, they always do. Yeah.
I know. Wave. Why don't they ever come wave at me? I'll give them a show.
Katy Perry is used to getting all she wants. The last nun vows to continue fight against pop star. Oh, this isn't a funny matter. Now
I know it's not funny, but when you say it's a non-funny thing.
I can even add my own spin on this thing. That's not really a spin either. With the aid of a walker, Sister Rita Callanan, that's my Jerry Lewis word. See, we don't rehearse this stuff before the show, folks. It's live.
That's scary.
And
You can't pronounce her name?
She's in bad shape, and she refuses to leave right now. So I think that. So Katy Perry is anxious to get all of her satanic worship stuff in there, and put up her Illuminati signs and everything, and then and then create her her altar room and all this other stuff. So I don't know how the heck this happened. Was it the diocese? But
Who knows?
we have the news right here only because, man, talk about the last time.
Crazy,
it's okay, so you have a little old lady who can't even walk. It's the last one sticking up for the, Catholic convent. Where are we getting to? What is going on here? Might go over there and go flatten some tires and bulldozers. I don't know what they're going to do. What's Katy Perry going to do with that anyway? Oh, well, we already know. I answered that.
Yeah, you answered that one. Yeah, we know for sure what she's going to do.
Oh my gosh, this is disgusting. It is.
Didn't one of the other nuns just die last week trying to protect
what you have, people, is you have...
this is supposed to be, let's see, what is this?
Katy Perry doesn't want to shell out the few billion it would cost to build this incredible expanse of old... we're talking traditional Spanish, just beautiful Gothic buildings, courtyards, gardens. So what is she going to do? She's going to fight some little old nuns to have it. And because she thinks that she was baptized Catholic, that entitles her to treat these nuns like this. The nuns made arrangements for someone else to purchase the property. Well, as it goes in real estate, Katy Perry thought she had first dibs on it and basically stole it.
Yeah.
That's right, Don. I don't see my hearts either.
Yeah, what's going
Where's
on
all
there?
my hearts? I don't know. All I see is my cross-eyed face on there.
So St. Bernadette's parish is getting all these calls to the media and everything for good reason. It's like, I thought, originally it seems like they won this, but...
I see hearts. I see...
So the order is called the Order of the Sisters of the Most Holy and Immaculate Heart of the Blessed Virgin Mary. So, I don't know, you guys, live over there, get over there and protest. Quit protesting all this stupid stuff, like the dog food your dog's eating, isn't good enough. Might as well.
Alpo?
Whatever
Anyone?
D.C. protest they got lined up next, protesting that rubber bands break and they slap you in the face sometimes, and so you young people, get over there and protest and try to help this old lady out, all right? So, with Sister Catherine Rose's death on March 9, Sister Rita became the lone holdout, remains opposed to the sale. So March 9th, so this other one conveniently died.
Is that that's not the one that had the heart attack in court? It was so sad.
That's her. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a $14.5 million.
It was so sad.
Let's see, the claim the Archdiocese of Los Angeles was attempting to sell a convent. Why would you want to sell it?
Your guess is as good as mine.
She's just going to desecrate it. Remember the Hotel California?
The problem was they had millions of dollars in the bank plus the property before the fight. Now the nuns are broke.
You guys know the story about the nuns? The nuns are all broke.
The nuns are
so they
completely
tried to
broke. They tried to fight it.
Wow, that's terrible. You remember the story about the Hotel California? It was a former Catholic church, and then the LaVey Satanist people got in there, and it's nicknamed the Hotel California, I guess. And one of the lines in there, we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. That's when they made it a Satanist church, and I mean that spirit as in it used to be Catholic Church, so I perfectly expect that kind of thing to happen from this gal who likes to steal kisses from nice innocent
virgins?
men. Yeah, and that was another story in itself. So anything to add before we move on, ladies and germs?
My hair's not high enough.
Your hair's not high enough.
No, I think I need some more hairspray.
Get a boa and put it in there. Maybe it'll hold it up.
Or maybe we like one of those things called those little the things we scrub dishes with.
Should have got one of those bones like the B-52s used to have in their hair. Remember, like the Flintstones?
Scrunchy.
I think it's raining tonight.
Oh, that's what you need. You need the scrunch. Remember that
Oh my
stuff?
gosh, it's right. The East Coast is socked under more misery. We're getting sprinkles. Hey, yeah, no kidding. Michael, are you guys getting those weird storms out in California?
We sure are. We're getting rained on. We had hail on
Mike's
Sunday.
not on
It's
tonight?
still raining
Yeah.
on today now. Kind of let up a little bit.
Getting
Some
ready for
tornado warnings. which
Michael
we usually get, so
Norton?
we get some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I
Guess you're getting that now.
know Deb's socked under the snow.
How many inches of snow you got left, Deb? Just real quick there.
It wasn't too bad. I think we're getting used to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not in Texas after all.
Well, a few, years ago, I remember 20 years ago, we had a real big nor'easter, and it happened on April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Weather's been weird. It's been weird.
That day, and then the next day, everything was gone.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Typical.
It is.
Typical northern weather, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call this news, but since it's St. Patrick's Day this week, sort of, it's Saturday, but we haven't done a show since that time. This is a March 9th article. It was actually on an Irish website. The real reason why there aren't any snakes in Ireland.
The real reasons why we can't have snake tacos in Ireland. What a bummer.
So you can see where this is going to go. It's
I
just
want
like
snake
when
tacos.
Biblical archaeology tries to explain, say that the walls of Jericho fell down.
Is there such a thing as biblical archaeology?
Oh yeah. There's actually a magazine I think called that. I think.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I had some friends that get it, and I go over there.
I just thought it was like something that people just like to argue about because they were smarter than me.
That might be true also.
Boy, are you like not there.
Okay, so you might guess where this is leading. Legend tells that in addition to introducing Christianity to Ireland, St. Patrick banished all the snakes from the Emerald Island, chasing them into the sea from the top of a cliff where he had undertaken a 40-day fast. Now, you're familiar with this. Had you seen one of those documentaries about Ireland and they said there's still no snakes today?
I think they ate them all. They got hungry.
Yeah, when the potato famine was going on? No, that was a lot later, though.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to give this too much because, science is very far from reality a lot of time. We see what's that guy's name? Not Mr. Wizard. What's the...
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye, the retarded guy.
Oh, Bill Nye, the guy that doesn't know a lick of science. Like, I don't know, I don't know.
Name it.
Black holes?
Climate change, First it was global warming, then it got cold, and then they changed it to climate change, and then they started changing it back to global warming, thinking, oh, yeah, and then it changed back again, and you name it.
Yeah.
So apparently their National Geographic conducted a kind of a history analysis, I guess, of 2014, revealing that while St. Patrick did a great many things, sending snakes slithering away from Ireland was not one of them. Okay, what kind of National Geographic? Are you Catholic? Are you Catholic, National Geographic? Are you? I know for a fact that, that the church is always, especially that time when there was writing, and you know how well the church documents all of these things? You know why? Because Patrick became a bishop.
Yes.
And they had to follow him before he became a bishop, and then, okay, he did this and that, and they keep reporting to Rome. It's like, I don't like what Patrick's doing. It's like with Francis, he's running around with only a robe, nothing on underneath in the woods with a bunch of guys,
Sounds awfully Roman.
What should we do, Archbishop? That kind of thing. But this did not come from legend. It came from the church, which documented it, and it's well documented. It's just that the church doesn't sell these things in National Geographic. Go talk to some of the Vatican archives, people. National Geographic, you're stupid anyway. You're just like Bill Nye. Just because you have great equipment.
Pierce writes, he says that the Bill Nye the Science Guy is what he is to science is, heavy metal is to the Archies.
Hey, watch out.
There's a bit of a spread there,
Wasn't Bill Nye's formal training as an actor?
Well, I don't even know if he took training because, I was an actress and I took some and I didn't recognize anything in it.
Oh, did you read that, Mike?
I'm pretty sure it was. He got the job as Bill Nye. He wasn't a science guy. He was an actor.
I thought he was like a stagehand or something that just stepped in. Did you hear that, Deb?
Yeah, Michael's right about that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
To be an actor.
Because I just didn't see him as being anything other than over dramatic, and I'm already naturally that way, so I don't call it acting. No.
Where's your cup, Farah? Oh, wait. Farah, show me your zombie M&M cup real quick.
This isn't my zombie M&M cup. This is my my little slice of I'd like to drink chocolate, but I can't, so I won't. So how'd you have, what? I've got chocolate coffee.
Because it's Lent.
Well, something like that. That and it's too
One
much.
of the, I was going to say about St. Patrick, it's my wife had mentioned that she, and I noticed it too, there's some, it's become kind of popular in the last few years around St. Patrick's Day to see different people posting different protests about how it shouldn't be the color green to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. It should be red for his blood-stained hands because he came to innocent peoples and butchered them and forced them against their will to accept faith that they did not want. And so instead of celebrating, we should remember him as a murderer and instigator of genocide.
You know, I saw something like
Sadness.
that somebody had posted on, thank you very much, on my page, which I bit my tongue about, Christopher.
Yeah.
He basically, so I think it was a woman had said or no, I think it was a guy, said something to the fact that I'm not going to celebrate a man that raped and pillaged and burned and forced people to commit crimes against their own native pagan religions. And I'm like, okay, I guess you have issues. Somebody missed their therapy appointment this week. Thank you. Obviously, you know, Mommy didn't teach you if you have nothing nice to say, stick it right back up where the sun don't shine, baby. But I did.
This is so much on that. They're rewriting history, and they're trying to tell us what it isn't. Like I said,
why would Patrick burn villages if he comes in peace? How does I understand that Christians have done things in the Crusades that that are very violent, and some Christians may have done things that nobody's perfect. That's why we're all sick coming to the doctor of love here, folks. But St. Patrick, come on.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that the exact same. It's almost the same wording of why they're trying to wipe out any trace of Christopher Columbus too, is because they say, here was a Christian who came to peaceful native peoples and forced them to abandon their peaceful way of life.
Exactly.
Yeah, like they were saying about, like the white man coming here and then running a Native American out, let alone, let's not forget the cannibals and the other ones that sacrificed their children and elderly.
Jennifer Evans saw that comment on our post, and she was a little sweetheart, like her little picture shows she is. She did not say anything because she's a little lady. Thank you, Jen. See, smoochies, poochies, we all can hold our tongues.
So there, I guess it goes without saying. The rest of it just goes in there, and they try to make a case that snakes never came to Ireland. I want to note something, that the snakes were considered a plague. There was such a problem to the people that they considered it like an infestation. So when Patrick did this, it wasn't just that he ran out of snakes. Oh, every once in a while, there's one in the garden over there. Get it. Oh, we're so plagued. Well, we haven't seen one in a week. Well, they think that's because there's no snakes in the fossil records. What have you been digging, looking for snakes? Are you looking for them? I mean, when's the last time you guys found a snake skeleton when you're gardening?
Maybe he was
Have
playing
you?
a flute for snakes. Maybe he thought he was like the Pied Piper.
Have you guys, anybody out there, has anybody found a snake skeleton in your backyard digging? A garden snake or whatever? Garter snake.
Snake skin, but never skeleton.
So why don't we have any fossils?
Thank you.
Why would there be a fossil record so soon? I thought it took 10,000 years or whatever. Anyway, why would you expect a fossil record? Well, we know at that time in Ireland there was an infestation of snakes.
We have possum skeletons in our backyard.
A possum? No way. Really? Possum skeletons?
Yeah, I saved the head. I was going to put it on a pole for the neighbor.
That's probably for that.
Serious, Christopher, I'll show you guys when you come over.
Yeah.
I was going to paint it some red zombie colors and put it on a pole and, maybe hang some yarn from it and go, yes.
No, she was. Don't get scared, guys. It's because of the hair.
Seriously? You don't think I would?
She's kind of like Ellie Mae Clampett. She likes possums.
At least
for dinner.
I didn't put it on my hat that I garden with.
You probably would.
No, darling, that was only if the neighbor was around. So I love to impress the neighbors, folks.
Maybe you should buy that convent down there in California.
Yeah, with what, honey?
And then double cross Katy Perry.
Honey, I can't get that much if I put you on the block in South Africa, baby. I just ain't getting that much.
Yeah.
You're an engineer.
Mm-hmm. Coming to a theater near you.
Oh my gosh, you guys, everybody is just absolutely geeked about this because we finally, after all the hubbub, the hullabaloo, and like, I love it how Karen Smurl says, it's just entertainment! Let's not get our diapers in a stitch because these people are acting stupid! We have Gabriel Lamorth, the real exorcist. This ought to be really interesting, folks, because I think what we have here in this docudrama is going to be a real interesting slice of Father Gabriel Lamorth, who was the Vatican's chief exorcist up until, oh gosh, I can't even remember. I think it was, what was it, the late 90s, folks? I don't remember. Needless to say, this documentary is going to actually dispel some myths and tell people the truth about what really happens. And it's not as exciting as whipped cream cherries, caramel sauce, and hot fudge on the same white generic ice cream. It's actually rather dull, folks. Once in a while, you know, you get a kick, but most of the time, it's just generic and flavorless, and you're just doing God's job, what He tells you to do. Unfortunately, though, Gabriel Morth did see a lot of bizarre stuff, so they will have an exorcism in here that was allowed by the Vatican to be filmed. And we don't recommend you see it if you really are not, if you have no need to learn or possibly bury some of your own skeletons in the backyard. Because
awesome skeletons. Yeah.
We buried all ours last year, honey, remember? There are good reasons.
I can honestly say that I won't be watching it, but it might be something entertaining for skeptics.
Exactly.
Because they don't believe in anything.
So true, Deb.
Well, they're going to look for something supernatural, clearly supernatural, instead of just, you know, remnants that could be anything mentally or acting. Because you know how it is. The skeptics are just diehard skeptics.
Yeah.
To the point of annoyance. I mean, but you got to be a skeptic, though. I mean, you know,
Totally.
You know, unless you won't be able to take it apart. So what has he got in there exactly? And how extreme was his case? Yeah, it might be the next level of shock. And I'm sure that other people tried to do this before with TV shows. But, you know, as we were...
Well, it's just like anything else, okay, kids? If you've never been around somebody that has a grand mal seizure that's 300 pounds and locks their jaw, starts foaming at the mouth, the eyes roll back, and they throw themselves into a wall with such force it looks like a bulldozer rammed them, you've never seen somebody have a grand mal fit, have you? But if you see that, you might mistake that for what? Demonic possession. Ken and I were looking over some notes for a book that we're working on, and we were just cataloging some past historical methods of the early 1800s, how they came into the pseudoscience of psychiatry in treating people with grand mal, petit mal seizures, melancholy, sadness, depression, everything. You were either possessed or you were, shall we say, mentally unfit. You were either locked away or thrown in these asylums they set up. And a lot of times, and I'm sure this movie is going to showcase, folks, what may look like a grand mal seizure is not a grand mal seizure. What may look like somebody frothing and foaming at the mouth that, you know, probably is just very angry. If you've ever seen, you know, anybody have a really bad meltdown and froth and spit come out of their face and their eyeballs are all red, this is not that. And unless you've been around enough of them, it's really difficult to tell. Very difficult to tell if somebody's putting you on or not. Because some people can act.
That's a good scenario to use, a grand mal seizure and the petit mals.
Yep.
Because when my mother-in-law was up from Florida, she was staying with us for about 3 months. And my youngest son, Jeremy, I had them in the car. And we stopped at the diner. And as I just shut the car off, all of a sudden, my mother-in-law had a grand mal seizure.
Oh, my gosh.
And I had just taken Jeremy out of the car seat, and she latched onto him, and I could not get him out of her grip, and she was foaming.
Oh, no.
And I was screaming and yelling, call 911.
Did you have anything to shove in her teeth?
Coming, and that was the first time she ever had one.
Really? Yeah, there's a serious danger of her.
We just stopped for lunch at the diner, and then all of a sudden it hit her in the car. Yeah. And then after that, you know, I ended up taking care of her after she went to the hospital. I said, I think you need to come and live with us. You know, I didn't want to leave her in Florida alone.
Of course
So
not.
she came to live with us.
Wow. You're such a sweetheart.
But you never know when somebody is going to have a grand mal seizure. They might never, ever have one in their life.
Exactly.
And then one day, you happen to have one.
So true.
Yeah, be prepared, or pray a lot, or both. Better.
Yeah.
I don't know what theaters this is playing in, but it's limited release. But they said that about other movies, and I was surprised to see it show up at our theater. Now, small town one, it might be a different thing. But if you're in, we'll say a major city, it doesn't have like 10, 25,000, something more than 100,000, you might actually get it in your theater. I think it'd be worth checking out, or at least waiting for the DVD. Usually comes out faster when it's not a blockbuster.
Well, if it's about Father Amorth, I'm sure the Vatican has taken a look at all the content and how it's been displayed, so that it is not portrayed as a sensationalist piece of work. So the kids don't have to worry about it being over sensationalized. I'm sure they looked at that.
Yeah, and all those books are
very,
recommended. And
Factual.
we still say get those for your library if you're studying, and not for morbid curiosity. Don't study this stuff for morbid curiosity. In fact, talk to your spiritual director by reading it all. We had a disclaimer. Was there one in the other book, too, the Haunted Investigations Fair, the warning saying that you can't turn back at some point, you know, when we start doing this stuff. You're going to get visited. You might have paranormal things. I was reading online, and whatever it was, like 2007, people were talking on a forum saying, have anybody who read Ken Deal's book and had paranormal experiences have it after that? I have a disclaimer at the beginning of the book. It says, you know, your life's about to change, because when you put the facts in there that are relevant to the battle, not the stupid Keys of Solomon stuff that's about appeasing them and manipulating them, they want you to read that. They'll send an agent to get you curious, but they're not going to send one to try to detour you, let you know they're not happy that you're joining the battle against them. Little side note there, if you call it little, but this is the director from the original Exorcist, too, huh?
Exactly.
We always hear William Peter Blatty, but we never hear William Friedkin. Yeah, see,
Friedkin.
If I saw that name by itself, I wouldn't know who that was off the top of my head. You know. Let's get this last thing. I don't know. I don't want to. Yeah, I think we got a little time. I'm not going to spend that much time on this.
For what?
Anyway. Look at this.
Now for our National Enquirer segment, folks. If you are positively offended by gossip, if you are mortified by the morally incorrupt, or corruptible, I can't even say the words.
Fine.
Somebody give me a flippin' dunce cap already.
Oh, that's okay. It's live. People should expect it. It's unscripted.
You shouldn't have shouldn't have her face on there. People don't need her.
Oh no, it's not their
name.
website. It's the article is telling it like it is. So,
okay.
God bless her and the editors and all that for putting
all right.
the facts up.
I'm just going to take some notes while you dictate, honey.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the Order of Exorcists? They have a website where they allow people to submit a form to request an investigation on a possible exorcism. They say that they're not affiliated with the Catholic Church, but clergy and bishops are working with them because of the demand for exorcisms. Is it possible? This is from a forum somewhere, I think, and it's a blog on the site. You can find it by doing the search.
They're talking about 99-cent McDonald's burgers, and this is 99-cent deliverance, folks. Okay, you get what you pay for. Okay, you invest in heaven, you're gonna get a slice. How difficult? You know, I never could understand it. Go to the dollar store or go to Saks Fifth Avenue. Figure it out.
So they had.
I'm sorry.
The response, of course, from them was absolutely not. Exorcism is a serious matter. Even though the need for such services has reached crisis proportions, the last thing a Catholic priest or bishop wants to do is resort to the practices outside the realm of the authority of the church Jesus founded, for which they derive the power to exorcise demons. Okay, for those who've never heard it, the Order of Exorcists was founded by so-called Archbishop Ron Fail, who claims to have received his episcopal orders in 1979 from Archbishop Gregory Michael David Boris, who adheres to the faith of the 7 ecumenical councils of the 3 ecumenical creeds. In other words, these archbishops are not affiliated with the Roman Catholic Church. To his credit, Vail does state clearly on his website that his order is independent of the Vatican and is an autonomous and independent branch of the Catholic faith, which derives from the ancient Old Catholic Church of the 21st century. By the way, the Old Roman Catholic Church, the word Roman was not in there in the original bio.
No.
He just added that maybe in the last year or two. It used to just be called Old Catholic Church or... Anyway, so continuing on, there is no such thing as an independent branch of the Catholic Church, but many people do not know this. So when he claims to have many priests, seminarians, paranormal investigators, and bishops of many jurisdictions from around the world working with him on these cases, they think it must be legitimate, including the people that visit and look for help. They think it's legitimate. Vail also has a partner in this order, a woman who goes by the name of Reverend Mother Susan, OSH, which stands for Order of St. Hilda. By the way, that order was registered as a business, by the way, in 2013. And there's a business record. You can look it up online, business records. She claims to have a PhD in physics and a Doctor of Divinity from Raphael University. They used to call themselves Dr. Ron and Dr. Susan Vail. If you do a search for ghost terminators under the archive.org, Wayback Machine, you'll see they're calling themselves parapsychologists Dr. Ron and Dr. Susan Vail.
It was kind of bizarre.
Okay, so anyway, continuing on, she, according to her supposed work at Raphael University, has run paranormal experiments on auras and ghostly electrical field disturbances. In other words, parapsychologist type stuff. So I guess they should have updated her bio when they decided to pretend to be clergy. I got to stick with the article, but everything I stated so far is fact, or it's stated as fact from the Women of Grace website. Again, unless one who looks into the background of these two, the website has enough Catholic-sounding language and imagery to convince the vulnerable that even though they're not approved by the Vatican, they're still Catholic enough to be trusted, especially when the site says something like, "We believe it is important that you have a calling from God to do this type of ministry," and $65. Oh, what's that? You're not sure if you have a calling? $65? Yeah, you got a calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I got a call for you right now.
And a donation. We have a calling. I'm going to make you an archbishop.
I got a call for you right now. Move, move, move.
As a result, they click on a large red box that reads, "Do you believe you are suffering from demonic oppression?
You mean it's not Santa Claus?
Poltergeist?
Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Santa Claus? Or personal harming? Are you to the point where you find yourself in turmoil and emotional devastation? After you have seen a physician and have been through enough medical and psychological exams and have been given a clean bill of health, but still have the symptoms of demonic possession, say to yourself, what do I do next? Order of Exorcists! The Order of Exorcists is a group of clergy and exorcist investigators with many real years of experience in dealing with demonic. We may be able to help.
Yes.
Readers are then invited to click the Contact Us button. The site explains that doing so will start the process of contacting members of the team in their area, which will perform an investigation and an assessment team to handle the case. A member of the team will contact the person and collect documentation, including medical and psychological reports. A clergy member of the team will review the evidence and submit it to the chief exorcist.
Mm-hmm. And who's the chief?
It's Donald Trump.
No. We're talking about the chief of the, he's married to Sister Hildebrand, or whatever her name is. Hildegard.
Hildebrand is my old radio station boss.
We're ready to believe you.
Yeah,
that's right, totally ready.
At an age where there's a shortage of exorcists making headlines, and even in the secular news outlets, because they saw this on DrudgeReport.com, that this guy getting propped up as though they're taking up the slack for the Catholic Church, which is finally starting to appoint a lot of exorcists, and we know this because we know 3 of them online that have just been appointed lately, and then there's 2 more that we know in addition to that.
Yeah, there's lots more.
Yeah, just some ones we know.
Front lines.
Before they were exorcists,
totally.
So this promise of look, the smell of burning. What is that out there? That's what a campfire or something
No,
outside.
the dog is toasting marshmallows for me, darling.
Okay. Boy, that dog is smart.
Terribly. What do you think? We keep her around?
Yeah, there's a promise of a speedy response, and rapid help can be very enticing. Well, see, we contacted him before back in 2013, early 2013. We didn't know who he was yet, and we said, hey, there's a person in your area, and we didn't get contact back for 6 weeks. And by the way, it was a possession. It was in New York. And so I don't know if they've changed that still, but I'm glad that we didn't get them a hold of them. We actually got it taken care of through the church.
Yeah, that was another story, another time.
Initially,
really
and so we
bad.
looked into them. We were like, okay, let me look into this further. Oh, boy, I didn't find anything that I found legitimate. Anyway, so people need to be warned that exorcism is never taken lightly. It deals with confronting a spiritual being. Its power and malevolence is beyond human comprehension. Apparently, even more than the order of exorcists there understands. Only Jesus Christ has the power to vanquish demons. It is always advisable to seek exorcism from those who have received his power through the sacrament of holy orders. That's what ordination and apostolic succession is. It is not just something you decide to do because you name somebody, and therefore you're valid.
You can't get it out of a gumball machine?
Mm-hmm.
I won't.
So they had originally posted the article that Drudge put up where it sounded like it was legit, and then they changed it because there was about half of the people in the comments were saying fake, fraud. So there's many more. There's to wrap it up, these things can be found online. If you look at the addresses they originally posted, it's supposed to be a parish, whatever. Google Maps points to the middle of a street. The address doesn't exist.
No.
And that's 3 or 4 different
They're
pages.
like, remember, we looked it up one time, you guys. Now, you know how Google Maps shows you the cute little buildings, and they show you little curbs? Well, there was, actually garbage on the road, and it was like, it's like if you took one of the brownstones out of a beautiful area of New York, and then you set it in the middle of nowhere, and you threw a bunch of rocks at it, and the paint was peeling, and the windows looked like they were popping out. That's what the building looks like.
Yeah, it's a gray hat, got a gray rickety porch.
I think the Twilight Zone took his building out of New York. Somebody's missing a building.
Some of the other facts that you can find online, I'm saying facts, and is ghostterminators.com is their old website, Ghost Terminators. So the
His
parapsychology
email
angle.
still is Ghost Terminator.
Every year you have to pay $65 for a membership, and that's been going on since the beginning.
That's more expensive than my gym membership.
ID cards are $27 for an ID card. Even if you just signed up, you still got to buy the ID card. Did you see that there's a demonic investigation kit? It's like it's got one of those big police flashlights. It's like $110.
Oh, my.
Does it go with the plastic handcuffs?
Then we need to just start selling steaks and hammers, honey.
Guess what else he sells?
Right,
He
Mike?
sells. He has signs that stick on your back window with a suction cup that says "Exorcist on board."
Hi, Bobby! Exorcist on board.
Yeah,
Oh, my
I think they heard you, and I did too.
I hope so.
Yeah, Bobby's not that great, whoever he is.
It's a
blow my
she.
eardrums
Oh,
out.
my gosh, you gender neutral little tyrant, you.
That's my ears. That's neutral now. Now that I only have one ear working.
Honey, remember, all of you belongs to all of me. You'll get over it.
Okay, so anyway, and one of the other signs is exorcism investigation in progress. A sign for your car window. A demonic investigation in progress. He sells St. Benedict medals for $5 that are blessed. He says they're blessed, which is the sin assignment.
Can we
assignment
talk
ring.
about what happens to a blessing when you sell it?
Yeah, that's a topic too. It's like
I mean, let's just insert it so people have a clue. Can you buy holy water from me, folks? A show of hands who says you can. Yes, you can buy holy water. Boy, we got a smart audience. I don't see anybody raising their hands.
Let's go to the Catholic Church and get it for free.
Thank you! All right! We have a winner!
Even the Protestant guy figured that one out.
that's what that is. It's roasting hot dogs outside. Tell him the hand went into the door.
Oh, my gosh. No, it's not free hot dog night, Kenny. That's 3 dog night.
Eli's coming.
That's sad.
In a bun.
No, that's not a blessed bun.
A blessed bun. No, we're getting silly now.
Oh, goodness, no. No,
Oh,
no.
yeah. So, and there's so much. See, it's a 6-page thing in addition to what they even said.
Kick the computer.
The ordination dates stray. There's inconsistencies such as saying that he was a associate pastor in 76 or 78. He would have been 19 years old as an ordained priest. Yet he was in St. Michael's Seminary in 1982, made an archbishop and head of the Order of Exorcists in 81.
Wasn't his wife born in 1982?
1782. Right. But there's just so much. Where do you go from there?
She's Saint Hildebrand.
But the bottom line is watch out for the Roman collars. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in here, and EWTN's Women of Grace did a good job. And there's too many. It's too easy to call yourself independent. They don't understand how the church works, and then they throw some stuff like some Pope encyclical. But when they say this unity stuff in the church, it just meant you're baptized with water. And in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. They consider you a brother in Christ, but you're not a member of the body of the church. You do not have apostolic succession if you're a priest of another church. It's the same for the church, all right? Don't complain about how the church does stuff. I'm saying don't pretend to be a member of the church in any way or mislead people into thinking that you're somehow associated with them and not expect to be criticized. There, I said it. Now it's time to watch.
Now everything doesn't go exactly the way it's supposed to.
Watch these things get ordained next. Ordained robots. As soon as she can fit a Roman collar on one of those things, they're going to put those on Zach Bagans' next show.
I am Dr. Freud's therapy boss. Please have
We should get those ordained so we make a robotic exorcist.
They need to pass out the tux, man.
Okay, Dr. Freud, what do you have to say? He says, breakthrough. See, Dr. Freud knows that we're onto something there. Because they called themselves doctor before they called themselves...
Weirdo.
You want me to get an ice pick for you completed the lobotomy? Because we're going to, and it's in a sort to ask the demonologist question. Did you know that the paranoid schizophrenia topic kind of rattled a lot of feathers? People are like, who is Christopher? And I said he's a licensed therapist and helps with drug and alcohol rehab. But see, we didn't have Father Driscoll on, for example. So I wasn't speaking from this parapsychology. I mean, yeah, might as well be the parapsychology, the psychology side, and neither was any of us, except what we're familiar with because we have to deal with this stuff. Is look, there's a guy today. I asked a big question, and I want everybody to comment about this so we can emphasize anything you thought wasn't emphasized in the last show because it's been blown out of proportion by the viewers. Today,
people are going to whine.
I spoke with somebody and who remember we're talking about the way they fall into this Freemasonry and Illuminati and some of these other things, some aliens. This person, before they were oppressed, they didn't know what the Illuminati was. When they became oppressed, and so far they seem oppressed. And I'm not going to give you the tips on how to do that in this show or anything like that to tell the difference. We didn't have to get a psychologist to verify he isn't paranoid schizo, because they'll tell you even when he isn't, and he could be oppressed, and they'll tell you that. That's why we don't rely on it. We will consider it, but he said that the voice that he hears, and it is demonic. When the characteristics is there, you lean to that. It's one flag, not all, that you put down on your checklist. That's creating your opinion. Your diagnostic. It's helping the diagnostics. Yeah. So that the spirit used the term Illuminati. Now we know the real history of it and everything. We even saw a documentary the other day. Remember that, Farah, that they were talking about the histories of Freemasons, and from there spawned Adam Weishaupt and the Illuminati, which it seems to be more branded and kind of Luciferian origins and that kind of thing. This guy is not one of those guys who reads conspiracy theories. He's a country boy. So for the answer to the question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Did they read this stuff and then break down and then with a mental breakdown became mental or weak for oppression. I mean, we were throwing that to the table, and it was awkward because it wasn't like, we weren't outlining material for DSM-6.
So true.
We were a roundtable discussion saying, hey, this is what I dealt with in deliverance, spiritual warfare, exorcist, assistance, or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. But I want to hear what everybody's got to say about this on the last thing, because there was some criticism because they thought, I learned absolutely nothing, one person said, from that. And what can be added so that somebody learns something about the difference between paranoid schizophrenia and one it is oppression? Mike, we'll start with you. I have to bring this up, and I'm going to call you guys onto this table. If you have something to say, go ahead and interject after Mike is done, okay? Look at that gorgeous woman. Stop that.
I work with that called me in saying they had something demonic going on. We just went in circles with these people. There was nothing spiritual. Mm-hmm. We couldn't get them to properly focus their mind in prayer. And it wasn't dissociation or DID. It was just some severe trauma they had in childhood. Where the parents severely beat them or something. And there was some sort of, there's a deeper disorder there that you have to deal with, and you'll notice it. It's way different from DID. Like I said, you spin in circles. Mm-hmm. They have these delusions that there's demons sitting there, and you can feel there's nothing there. It's their eyes are projecting stuff, their mind's projecting stuff that is not there. You can feel it spiritually. I mean, it's very difficult to work with because you have to walk in all sides of the pond here, know what a demonic manifestation looks like and feels like. What does DID look like? Or what does this really weird stuff with schizophrenia look like, where the person just can't focus on any conversation at all? I mean, that's been my take on it.
Good one. Christopher?
Yeah, sorry, I was kind of thinking about my response. I was thinking that, dealing with paranoid schizophrenics, some people, probably because they've been conditioned by movies and TVs to think about, the person that, suddenly declares they're Napoleon and they're looking around, with huge wide eyes, sweating and
mm-hmm.
and rocking back and forth in a padded room. It's there's a reason why, and Ken brought up the DSM. There's a reason why even that has to be revised, because
yes,
the understanding of it and new theories, which is what they are. I call them theories, not necessarily concrete facts. But based on new observations and things like that, new ideas, it's a constantly changing thing.
Yes.
And so it's hard. I understand people want, like the criticism. They hear that. Okay, I want
mm-hmm.
A, B, C, and D. What do I look for? Well,
mm-hmm.
It depends, because
yeah.
this or this, what degree, and just because they're paranoid as part of their diagnosis doesn't mean that they're looking over their shoulder and constantly worried about stepping out their front door. Some paranoid schizophrenics, in fact, will respond by laughing or giggling at kind of, how do I say, not socially acceptable times, but that's the way they deal with their paranoia. So people, I understand people want a concrete, cookie cutter, this is what I need to look for. But whether it's with mental health or emotional health or even spiritual health,
mm-hmm.
you cannot just deal with cookie cutter issues. You have to look at the whole thing and realize who the person is today is not going to be who they are a week from now.
Thank you for that. This is a much broader topic, and we will talk about it when we get Father Driscoll back on, perhaps in May. We'll check with him. Let's see who's left in the round table. Deb, I don't know some of these elderly people that you work with in your life skills instruction and that kind of care. If you'd like to add anything on that, one final thought. Is there a clear way to tell that someone's not disturbed spiritually? I mean, you kind of have that sensitivity. You get the creeps around somebody when they seem to be spiritually attached, or vice versa. What do you think?
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to paranoid schizophrenia, I mean, these people suppress a lot. And also what Christopher had mentioned, they'll laugh a lot as well. But if you're talking about schizophrenia and oppression, you would know oppression. I think oppression is more evident. It shows itself more. Schizophrenia, they know how to hide their feelings because they bring out somebody new every time. But as far as working with somebody with schizophrenia, no, I haven't. I've worked with Alzheimer's, dementia, autism.
Yeah.
But I'm only speaking through the experience that I had with a family member of oppression. And I knew somebody who was schizophrenic, and an older gentleman. And it was two different things, oppression and schizophrenia.
Yeah, and this does go to some. This one is a little harder one to test. Like, what if they're mind fried, like Farah? You remember the bath salt one? When you get that, how are you going to test for brain damage without going the psychological route first? Unless you actually try to provoke it.
They're doing bath salts. They're already brain damaged.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, like permanent. It's like, LSD experiments, Timothy Leary days, and later, and you still have people walking around who are like 76, or talking to themselves. They were victims of that experiment. It totally left that part of their brain dead. Overdoses of LSD. And you could say that, hey, they became possessed, because we know that drugs can make people possessed, which is a topic of the next hour, because induced sleep can be a problem. But, this topic was when we started on the last show, we ended with it, and it's testing for demonic presence. Fits this, but it's a little more difficult with the schizophrenia, because they'll go out of their way to make sure they prove to you. They'll suck it up big time. The testing seems to involve that you're looking for something supernatural. Are they going to know something they shouldn't know? Are they going to react when you provoke them with holy objects, for example, and they don't know it's a holy object? Like, you have the quarter exercised and blessed by Padre Pio, and you've kept it all those years, and you go, I got a nice shiny quarter for you. I bet you would like that, wouldn't you? And then they give it, and they decide, oh, thank you, put it in their pocket, and they start going into convulsions and look like they're doing the old street rap dances and stuff, and not to make light of it, but I'm sorry, that's just the way, that's just how we get through it, okay. But we can.
Sometimes humor does help. Even that we talk about demonic possession and everything else, humor does help. It really does. Because
thanks, Deb.
I have worked with Ed Warren, and he's helped our family. And believe it or not, everything we were going through, he still made us laugh, even though everything that happened to us. He goes, you have to find humor in everything to get you through.
Yeah.
So true.
And I seriously believe that.
Well, there's that verse, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I have to, there's something about trying to laugh at a situation just to deal with that somehow God responds by increasing that amount of strength to deal with it.
Yeah.
You're right, Christopher. You're absolutely right.
But that's good. I mean, there's a different thing making light of something when you're making fun of it, but there's another thing to try to keep it light for some crisis. And Farah is really good at it too. She cheers me up all the time if I'm like mad at some buyer who bought something from me and is complaining unduly about it, whatever. I don't know, whatever the case may be, you name it. But she's funny, and I can hear them laughing on the other side of the phone, and I did stand-up comedy. She did comedy stage plays, some low-budget movies and stuff like that before. So, I mean, we already have it built into us, and it's been very effective, to keep it light.
Right, it's like the funny side of it.
Yeah.
The worst part of it's already gotten you down, so now you have to look at the other side, and you're going to find humor somewhere along the line,
Yeah. And we're going to take our commercial.
Don't
break.
forget to give our video a like and a share if you dare. And we'll be right back.
Real Deals in the house. Be back with a mouse.
We love ya. Don't go nowhere.
3 to 4.
It might get better. Maybe not. That smells so good. That smells so good. That smells
Yes, we are.
good.
We are
That smells
back.
I'm
Thank you
smelling
for
fire.
listening, watching, however you're receiving this show. Okay, what we're talking about, we're wrapping up on the paranoid schizophrenia. And Farah, would you like to add anything to that? Because this is we deal with this type of diagnostic maybe more than any other, because they confuse it with oppression and possession. So we hear about this one the most. For everybody out there, if you want to bone up on something in psychology that'd be the most use, bone up on this topic. I would say the most. So, okay. Well, anyway, go ahead. Take it away, dear.
You know, I just I wanted to elaborate a little bit on schizophrenia, because I don't want anybody in the audience to think that we're making light of mental illness in any way, shape, or form, because schizophrenia is just as real as cancer, as bone disease. Schizophrenia, there are real mental illnesses, and schizophrenia is just another word for a split mind. And the pseudoscience of psychiatry really there's no way we can understand how the brain operates completely. We make guesses, we observe, and these wonderful doctors that are way more brilliant than me try and find interceptors and interrupters in the brain to stop certain patterns of behavior, like OCD. You want to stop repetitive behavior. Schizophrenic behavior is very difficult to control, because what happens is it usually onsets early in life, usually by the age of 18, rarely before the age of 30. And in genuine mental illness, I'm not the mental illness professional, but with the people that I've known, it is almost as if you're treating a diabetic that gets worse and worse. It's almost as if the disease confuses and confounds and mutates. And a medicine may work fine for 20 years, then they need to change it, or they need to change the dose. Basically because we can't completely understand the mind. Now, does this mean that, you can just go ahead and snap your fingers, go to an exorcist? No, not at all. If it were that easy, some people very much need, like Deb was talking about earlier, like Christopher and Michael, we need laughter, we need understanding, we need compassion. I have known many schizophrenics off their meds, on their meds, between meds. I would say the common denominator with people that are suffering, it's a lot like depression. They have their good days and their bad days. They're not sure if they're going to be able to focus today. But like most of us people do, they watch, they observe, and they look for cues in other people where they're off, and they'll react to them so that other people don't worry about them. So where we're talking about the correlation with identifying a real case of schizophrenia as opposed to something that has been, shall we say, either artificially induced or become a subset of symptoms that somebody from oppression is dealing with, that takes some time. That takes some time to find out. And when you're dealing with somebody that's been on medication for 20 years, it makes it more difficult. Somebody that's been only on medication for a couple years may be a little bit more easy to talk to. You never, ever, ever tell someone they can get off their medication. Ever, 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 ever. Never, never, never. Never, never. Because if a doctor has seen fit that they need something to function, then God knows that they need it, and He's allowed it. We're not living in the days like we were talking about earlier, folks, where people just get drugged and tossed in closets. And that's all I wanted to say, is that I think each and every one of us We need to have a little bit more compassion when we walk into Walmart and, we see the man with his dirty underwear sticking out of his backside, or the woman whose left is hanging to her knee and the right one is like smacking her in the chin because she forgot to wear something underneath it. These are truly mentally ill people. We're not talking about people that just don't have a sense of, I don't know how to dress myself. No one in their right mind would walk out the door looking that way. And it's easy to laugh at people like this. It's easy to think, oh, well, that homeless person, what a bum. He just took $5 off and he's going to go get himself some Mad Dog 2020 and spike it with some shine. He just got out in the woods. He traded something. He stole somebody's radio. A little bit more compassion for the homeless and the mentally ill. Mm-hmm. It's one of my big pet peeves, because you don't know the roads that these people have walked to become homeless. You don't know the roads that they've walked to look like they do at Walmart with missing teeth and dirty underwear. So it makes me mad and it makes me sad, folks, because whether they're suffering mental illness or oppression, until you've walked in their shoes, you've got no right to open your mouth and point fingers. Mm-hmm. My opinion. So let's be careful when we look to diagnose somebody and say, oh yeah, they need some sort of deliverance. Maybe this is one of those things that God's allowed for them to be challenged. We don't know until we walk with them and pray with them and take time to try to understand and step into their shoes and be with them.
Yeah.
Right, that's just all I wanted to say about that, folks. Mm-hmm. We need to love one another a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks for that. And people are afraid of them.
Very much afraid.
Things that they're afraid of. My experience in the past has been that I thought originally they were down on their luck. And that kind of thing, for the most part, they are mentally ill. They're drug, alcohol addicted. More drug addicted now than alcohol. They can get drugs cheaper because they can get someone who will make it and then be able to pass it around and then sell it cheaper than buying a big old bottle of that cheap wine that you see that the stereotypes used to do, like even that show In Living Color used to make fun of this and a guy living in a cardboard box and that kind of stuff. Yeah, society's a lot more sensitive to those things. We'll talk about testing for demonic presence.
Now, we have homeless people too, just like Farah's explaining and saying, and like you. But some of these people are also Wall Street people that have lost everything. They have lost everything, and they have turned to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, they had a breakdown.
So they know what it is to be, on that pedestal, and they know what it's like to hit rock bottom. And now they can't get out of it. Yeah,
and you can initially tell, just like could you tell a guy was a war veteran before? Just because he's scraggly? A guy who doesn't have a suit on, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow, he's got wrinkles.
They're homeless too.
Basically, yes.
I wanted to jump in that
Go ahead.
I as you guys were talking, I was thinking of when Jesus talks about, I was hungry and you gave me food, I was naked and you clothed me, I was in prison and you visited me. All those three things, to me, they can be applied in so many different areas, but specifically tonight we're talking about mental health. How well that describes what these people are going through, because they are in a sort of prison. They're in the prison of their mind.
Yeah.
Good point.
They are naked for dignity,
yes,
like everyone else. There is a and Mother Teresa was very big on that. She understood that spiritual sense, how she was called to clothe people with their God-given dignity and respect, and how she viewed them as Christ in the distressing disguise of the poor. But here in Joplin, we're a town of about 55,000 people, the biggest little town for at least, Kenneth, Springfield's an hour away. We're the next biggest one in this area.
Yeah.
And we have, for decades now, we have a community particular homeless man that, as far as I know, has never said a word to anyone. He wanders up and down the streets carrying his bags of belongings, and he just travels walking up and down the street. And the community kind of takes care of him. We all know that he has mental issues, very paranoid. In fact, one time he had stopped to rest on a hot summer day in front of our clinic about 8 years ago, and I went out to offer him part of the sandwich that we had, and very much he shook his head very, he was not going to take that.
Major trust
it's just
issues.
Something that we as a community, we know who he is, and I have seen people try to make sure he's at least okay. And so, I'm grateful for that. But, like I said, these people, regardless of, how we may feel uncomfortable, we're still challenged as Christians to reach out and say, this is my brother, this is my sister.
That's right.
And I need to do what I can for them.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, people need
Thank
to
you for
remember it's
pointing
like
that
St.
out.
Francis, the apostles, all them. You'd think they're homeless if you've seen them,
Yes, wandering
today's.
around with their rags.
Yeah, they were told to take nothing. Don't take anything. And are they going to dress in suits like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses do? And so that's something to think about. And my dad told me when I was a kid that St. Francis would beg, when the apostles would beg, like when they go to a town, they accept a dinner. They didn't like begging, like the musician on the street corner, but still they relied on handouts. And the mentality, of course, even when you're a kid and many adults, is that you're a bum if you expect to go out there. At least you're working for your money instead of sitting at home and then, getting it from the government. And there's a lot of fraud going on out there. We'll move to our main topic now on dreams. And these aren't in order. If you can see them on the screen, anybody on our staff here, and feel free to answer. We'll answer questions from the, and comments from the chat and the comments also, but these aren't in order. And the top one actually is an interesting one because I want to hear what people think about it, even from the chat room. We'll just call it the chat room because it's like, is it chat or comments? It's still chatting, right? The comments right below the video. And sleep positions common for nightmares. I put something up about this in 2005 in some forum, I remember originally. And the reason is because I noted, and I'll keep it short because I want to hear what everybody says before adding anything else, especially laying on my stomach. And when I was a kid, I even told my mom in some sort of strange way, imaginative. I was only like 5. I would have these nightmares and so forth, another story in itself. And then I had some idea that, like, hey, when you're laying on your stomach, the TV falls to your, to your eyes, because it's gravity, and so the screen falls to your eyes and you dream. I always dreamed more on my stomach. And when I do have the nightmares, it's been a while, the really bad ones, I'm on my stomach almost always. The really bad ones, including the, I guess it's kind of like sleep paralysis. I was on my stomach, and it was actually 10 a.m. in the morning, not 3 a.m. at night, for example. But what do you guys, what is the sleep position that you guys find? Is there one that you noticed that you might have, something you might consider dark, demonic dreams? We'll just say first instead of just any dreams. Which position? I want to hear from everybody out there in the chat and all that too, and comments too. When we get the video completed, please comment in there. Let's hear it.
I don't think I've ever had dreams. Like, I've had tons of nightmares. I was plagued by them all my life, but I don't remember ever having them on my stomach. So I don't know. For me, a position didn't matter because a lot of times I woke up out of the dream. Do that. I'm on my back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was on my stomach or what. I just never paid attention to that. So maybe it's something next time.
Okay, that's all positions then. That's a vote for all positions. What about you, Farah?
Well, I've never had a position that I've actually had a happy dream. No, I have happy dreams in all positions. I have weird dreams in all positions. I can be sleeping upright in a car and have a nightmare. I can be sleeping upright in a car, and then I'll be like, "Why'd you wake me up? I was on the ocean. I was having a Mai Tai. I was having avocado on toast points with shrimp. Leave me alone." So, yeah.
I never even thought about it.
You never actually said, "Hey, I better take a picture of how I'm sleeping." Ken's going to ask me how I'm sleeping tonight.
I know, so yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
me.
Last night, I actually woke myself up because I was laughing out loud.
Oh
And
my
I don't
gosh.
remember what I was laughing about.
Hey, you were dreaming you were on the show. Having a good time.
You ever laugh in your sleep?
Laugh, growl, scream. Yeah, all
I
kinds
can't
of fun
recall
stuff.
waking
I heard my
myself up
husband
laughing.
laugh in his sleep, but
Oh
he
my
doesn't remember
gosh.
that. That was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
last night, I actually woke myself up.
Oh,
I
that
was
is
laughing out loud.
so
Yeah, better laughing
funny.
than crying, right? Christopher,
Oh,
what about you?
absolutely.
I don't know. Is this just... I've always... When I was younger, I mean, it's like I said, parapsychology was probably the first thing I gravitated towards because, if a saint experienced it, why would I expect to? I'm not a saint. I didn't expect it to have something in common with them so much. So,
Yeah.
parapsychology books, they get recorders out. So I'm trying to solve my problem first, give it an analysis because I'm an electronics technician too. And okay, which position that I'm sleeping in causes or may be related to nightmares? I was having a lot of them when I was younger. So maybe I'm one of the few people who did my own study on myself, made notes, had a logbook and the whole 9
Doing
yards.
your own analysis.
That's right.
Yeah,
He
so
doesn't need
himself.
Freud.
There we
He's
go.
got his own analysis going on.
yeah, I don't know what. So Christopher, do you have any when you had nightmares? Do you notice you're in any particular position or no?
In any particular position, no, not really. I was laughing in my head because one of my favorite little jokes I like to play on my kids is, I ask them, in the morning, how'd you sleep last night? Oh, good. And they usually ask me, and I say, well, slept pretty good. I slept with my eyes shut, and they're like, they kind of look at me for a second. I'm like, I'm just joking. But as far as like any particular position, no, not really.
Yeah. Okay, I think they'll move on from that one. If anybody wants to still comment on what they think about that, but apparently, back then I had more hits on this, but that was over several weeks. It had time for people who are just as warped as me, so to speak, to do it. And there's other things too, and these are kind of like analysis things. Common times for bad dreams, for example. Is also one, too. And, of course, people usually say, I was having it around 3 a.m. Oh, I was having after midnight. That one may not even be something that you can come and find common ground on either. Mm-hmm. What time? Yeah.
What about lucid dreaming, Ken? I've done that.
Yeah.
I got it spelled wrong. Lucis, the guy who...
Lucifer dreaming?
No, Lucis.
That's a very good one.
Lucid.
I got it spelled wrong on here.
Oh, my.
I apologize
I
for
know,
that.
but I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Yes, well, that's an interesting topic. I usually have mine in the morning after I get up, and I don't think I'm going to be able to go back to sleep. And then I do, because it's too close to when the kids get up, and we all get up and say the rosary, like 2 hours. You know this, Farah. It's like you wake up at 4:30. And then when you do go back to sleep, we tend to have lucid dreaming at that time.
Yeah, you go back into your dream, but you know you're only dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So more or less, you're in control of your dream.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're having a good dream and somebody wakes you up, and you go, I want to go back into my dream.
Yeah.
You want to finish it.
Yeah, well, if it's a good
I
one.
like good dreams.
Yeah. I had one, this is kind of strange, that I was working with a possession, and I wanted to go back in so I could finish the exorcism. I got stuck with a situation, and then I realized I have no holy water, no holy oil, and this is going to take a while, but there's no one else to do, and it's like I can't just leave these people here by themselves. I don't know where you were in there, Farah. Probably get me holy water or holy oil.
No, I was sitting there drinking, watching you deal with life. I was having a cocktail.
But that was
Toast
very...
and avocado.
That was
That's right,
very
toast and
vivid.
avocado.
and yeah. But no, it wasn't scary. It wasn't a nightmare. I wanted to go back in and finish it. But we're just kind of weird here, the real deal. And everybody in this room probably is too, for the most part. Now, if I had a dream that, I'm in combat and I'm getting shot at, that'd be more of a nightmare to me. Now, there is some things, we all have our fears. It's a little different. And dreams will pick on that. But lucid dreaming, anybody's comments on that are welcome from the chat as well. But these, do you think these experiences are something that becomes the time when you're going to have prophetic, prophecy dreams because you're lucid? Is this going to be when you're going to have dreams that have more meaning? What do you think, Farah?
What, in the morning?
When you get that lucid dreaming state that can happen in the morning, you think that's when it's going to be more likely to be prophecy or
Of course not. That's when because your body is just, okay, we're on circadian rhythms, folks. We are a natural body created by God. All right, and your circadian rhythm responds to the amount of light you're exposed to, and also responds to, okay, are my bowels finished absorbing what I ate yesterday? Okay, after that's over, it's time for the systems to start gearing up. So your imagination kicks in and goes, oh gosh, what's my boss going to do? Oh my gosh, is my car going to be terrible? Oh goodness gracious. I mean, I had a dream the other morning that it's like I couldn't get to the bathroom fast enough. I'm running down the hall and somebody's in there, got to beat them out of there. What am I dreaming? Because I had to get up and I had to go to the little girl's room because it was 5:30 in the morning. Thank you very much. So no.
Oh, I hate that.
Visions in the morning.
When I got to go to the bathroom.
I just want coffee.
And I don't want to get out of bed, and then I end up going back to sleep. Every time I got to go to the bathroom, it's some horrid park restroom or something, and all the toilets are broken and overflowing, and
that's gross.
It's like I end up in some sort of nightmarish, hellish bathroom scenario, or it's like I'm at my aunt's house back in the 70s or something, and
that's
then
scary.
It's like the floor tiles are all peeling up, because they used to use the vinyl tiles, where you stick and press on the floor, and the toilets float up. There's toilet paper in there, and it's so high that I cannot even get a little bit of, in there left. And the bathtub is filled up to the top, too. It's just like, what is this hellish world? Now that I got to go pee, you're going to make it, color it up the most nightmarish scenario possible? Of all I don't know what that's all about.
Paper, you're not in need of a plunger?
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see a plunger anywhere.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll need scuba gear to plunge those.
We got a daughter.
Things.
Oh my gosh! Merciful heavens!
Mm-hmm.
And I love all the little laughy faces we're getting talking about toilet paper and plungers. So I see everybody else has dances with plungers.
I don't know why that scenario happens, but
it's like, who needs a broom if you've got a plunger?
It's kind of like that movie Silent Hill, that weird guy with the barbed wire around him in there. It's like, how do I end up as soon as I have to go to the bathroom? All right, boys, bring out the nightmare. He has to go pee.
Like Jennifer says, if you want a vision, give me a cup of coffee first.
Cup of coffee.
That's right. Oh, my gosh. And Don said maybe he was passing some flatulence in his sleep.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't you think that, lucid dreaming, I've had lucid dreaming and I've had things come true and they don't really apply to anything like this. I remembered 3 things that happened. I'll give you one scenario. They're all stupid. I was working at this pizza place in the early 80s, and one of the dreams was that I went in the pizza place. The manager was taking apart the can opener. It's one of those ones you just rotate manually, but it's a big one. It opens the big pizza cans. Ones that are like the spotlights. That you can make spotlight cans. I actually did that once, but that's another story. And that and 2 other things, I can't remember what the other 2 things were, but I actually went into work that morning, and the manager, who doesn't normally work there, was there as he was in a dream, and he had a can opener part. And there was nothing wrong with the can opener the day before. So I said, what are you doing with the can opener? It's like, the screw fell out or something like that. And I thought, that was weird. What was the point of that? It's like, did that save the world for me to know that? Like Christopher Walken knew to take out Martin Sheen, the next terrorist dictator, I don't know. Remember the Dead Zone? That's what I was talking about there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was dreaming while you were awake, or whatever. No?
What the lucid dreams are really good for, Ken, is like when you wake up out of those nightmares, I was plagued by them. You can slightly go back in your dream where you're aware of yourself.
Yep.
Just go beat the crud out of whatever came out of you. Make those nightmares a happy ending.
So
It worked.
true.
It ended my nightmares sequence for a while. I had some nasty ones. Maybe it's plagued by nightmares. Do that.
Yeah.
Just fall back asleep, but this time you have control as you go back asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you got to do right away while you have control.
Yeah, because you have control while you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just kind of like do that thing, like you can get yourself out of the dream when you're ready. Okay, I'm ready to transport out of here now.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's not working fast enough. Wait a minute. What's wrong with my sliding machine here? Or whatever they. What was that movie? The Sliders or something? That TV series. That it doesn't happen immediately when you get yourself out of the dream, but you can pull yourself out of the dream when you're lucid dreaming too. Or you can manipulate it. I remember when I was young, I'd make a samurai sword appear in my hand to wipe out zombies. That was cool. I love the movie Blade. I hope they bring that back and they don't put somebody stupid in there. Wesley Snipes can't be beat. Yeah.
I always thought that lucid dreaming, when I would have lucid dreams throughout my life, I've come to have my own theory that that's God's way of telling me that in my normal everyday life, I have the ability to make decisions I can change how things are going.
That brings up an interesting thing. Dream interpretation and psychological effects, benefits thereof. Why you dreaming that is more psychological. I think that's kind of summarizes it there, but thoughts, roundtable type discussion on this thing as we're hashing it out. We're detailing our own personal experiences and ideas. This isn't a definitive guide. I know we do our top 20 list sometimes, and it can be like a definitive guide, like 20 things that are indisputable about demons. This isn't an indisputable thing, folks. So we're just hashing some ideas out. Little round table coffee, coffee, whatever your poison is on the table, and and Christopher, don't put your drink down on my coffee table book about coffee tables. You'll make a ring on it.
Oh my goodness! Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an important thing. Anybody ever have one of those books, Dream Interpretation, and then you're reading in there? It's like, I had a dream about an atom bomb. What's that mean?
It means I want to get pregnant.
See, I know that's the kind of dumb stuff they'll have in there. And
I know. That sounds stupid.
I know.
But there are some things Michael can relate to how I think sometimes. When we get certain messages. Do you write them down, Michael?
Usually I do, because I have some friends I kind of like spiritual direction where I go through and have them interpreted.
Yeah.
Make sure I got it correctly. My wife happens to be one. I have a few other close people who are very good at dream interpretation spiritually that do it. Who understand God in their interpretation.
For it? Wow.
Yeah.
Right. You get certain messages.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
You know what? I found
Michael
out.
and I've talked about this before.
Yes.
I found out one. Oh,
thing.
sorry, Deb. Keep stepping on Deb.
Yabba dabba dab.
One of the things I kind of figured is I tell people this because sometimes we're talking to a client and they tell us about a dream, because sometimes we look into the dreams, just like Freud telling me about your dreams. And the reason, obviously, is because of the psychological implications in there and stuff, not because we're looking for, like, oh, yeah, so what did that demon do to you next? No, it's not like that. So don't misjudge that. So when we do this, we ask them, how did it make you feel? I know it sounds like Freud again or something, but because if you listen and pay attention to what the feeling was in the dream, were you feeling stressed out? Have you ever had those dreams that you can't dial a number, when you get to like almost the last number, you hit the wrong number, and it's like, nope, gotta hang up and start over again. You can't do like you can on a cell phone where you just press send after you correct the number. Remember in the old days, you could oh shoot, I dialed a 7. I gotta do it again. I mean, it was worse than a dial one, but a button phone number still, whatever number you dialed, you got that number right away. There was no send button before the cell phone for you young folks out there. So you ask yourself, what were you feeling in that dream at that moment, or what was this making? Instead of looking at the environment in the situation, how did it make you feel? Psychologically, it might be making you work on patience or dealing with anxiety. Examples of that feel free to share on that one because I'd like to hear it. Give some examples. You are a Jedi. Oh, you got bubbles in there. Let's see Luke Skywalker do that. Oh, by the way, the DVD/Blu-ray is coming out for Last Jedi at the end of the month, so so go out there and get it. And the Avengers Infinity War will be out in theaters by then. Yeah, public service announcement. Still trying to find out exactly what day the new Jurassic Park, whatever, is going to be out, so I can watch the dinosaurs all jump off a cliff. So, what do you guys think about that?
Hypnotizing me with her bumbles.
My bumbles. I love my bubbles. It's like I better not run out of my bubbles because these are so much fun. It's like
I used to be able to use dishwashing liquid, but Dawn just plops on the floor, and stuff like that.
Dawn doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah, well, that's to get some of that cheap stuff like Pink Lady, that Aldi sells. Yeah, that stuff that just
go to your dollar store. You go and stuff. And
the grease cutting stuff, and then it'll leave a stain on it.
Yeah, a lot of people think that on their back, people get really bad out-of-body experiences, and the general consensus is a lot of people are saying that bad nightmares happen when they sleep on their stomach. Well, the healthiest way to sleep, supposedly, is supposedly on your back because then, your body can relax. Worst place is on your stomach because then all your organs are compressed. So it would make sense if your bladder can't function properly, it's going to hurt. If your liver can't be, juicing the system and cleaning stuff out, it's going to hurt. If your stomach can't adequately get everything going into the pipe system, it's going to be backed up. So, the nightmares might be from sleeping on the stomach. I'm saying.
Oh, the kidney stones were some of my worst kidney stones that I had in the past.
Oh, my God.
I got up, and it's like I associated sleeping on my stomach from that. It's like, you're right. Something got compressed, jarred, moved, chipped.
Totally compressed.
But I killed them all because of my change of diet and all that, and vinegar and the water and all that kind of stuff. So there won't be any stalactites and stalagmites that break off in my kidneys now. It's like a cavern in there, crystal, I think, once. Who knows? But those are never fun, though, are they, ladies and gentlemen?
I wouldn't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Tony had a good question, though. Has anybody ever had sleep paralysis inside a dream? Or in other words, had a dream that you had sleep paralysis? Anybody? Christopher, Michael, Deb?
Not in a dream.
Well, I've had paralysis. I was sleeping and it actually woke me up to where I couldn't move. I was pinned down to the bed.
Oh my God!
And all just is this dark shadow, but you can't move. I can't speak. I can't scream. I can't yell to my husband.
Oh my!
So I'm just stuck there to the mattress, and the only thing I can't even say Jesus. I have to actually see the letters. And once I spell out the name Jesus, it does release me.
Yeah. I had something similar too, like that, Deb, but it was I couldn't speak and I couldn't pray to make the demon leave.
Wow.
So I ended up. It was like a repetitive dream. It happened like several times in a row. Till finally, I just drew the cross in the air and I got released from the dream.
Wow.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, and it's repetitive. I've had it happen a few times. Well, thank God I haven't had it happen lately, but it's the same thing, and it comes and it pins you down, and you can't speak.
That's what's so freaky.
Scary. And the only thing I could think of was the name Jesus, and I had to spell it out in my mind because I wasn't able to even form the letters with my mouth. I had to just think it. Christopher, have you ever had anything like that?
I've never had anything like that. Especially not in a dream.
That's good.
I'm not
it
sure
actually
how
wakes you up. Not in a dream. This will actually wake you up.
Well, I would say at a seminary in St. Louis one time, and it wasn't yet, so I don't even know if this relates. But I woke up one weekend morning, and I was fully awake. The sun was coming into the windows, It was probably about 7 or so, 7:30. And for whatever reason, I could not move my legs.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm suddenly paralyzed. But I even fell out of the bed, forced myself to roll out of the bed, and I was laying on the floor, and I could move everything else.
That's
just my
freaky.
legs would absolutely not work, and it took me a second to pray before they would suddenly start getting the feeling back in them. So I'm not sure if that is anything, but it definitely has not happened since. So.
Yeah, that's not the same sleep paralysis. People don't detail this very much, but you're really pinned in bed, so you can't move. So like you're pinned down, but it feels like paralysis because you don't feel a hand pressuring. Sometimes you feel a weight on you, but you can't pinpoint. What's that weight feel like? Someone's sitting on my legs. It doesn't seem to have a shape or a form where you can tell a cat walks across your chest in the middle of the night, your cat, or, someone rolls over, but this one is undefinable. No, that's kind of a different thing.
It's what it is. It's a complete lack of physical sensation, okay? Because I can tell you from drowning twice, when you are pushed under by poundage and poundage, like thousands of pounds of water, and you have the breath pushed out of you where, you go black and there is nothing, you have no control of your body, sleep paralysis, having experienced that, there's no feeling. It's like you wake up and you're in a body, but you don't have a body. That's what's so weird about sleep paralysis. You don't have a body. The only thing you got is eyeballs, and you're like, okay, what am I doing? And I think that is...
Exactly, Farah. That's the only thing that moves,
Yeah,
is your eyeballs.
Exactly, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Where'd my body go? And you're just like, looking around. You can't... Yeah, you can't say anything. You can't grunt. You can't go like, you can't go nothing. You just like, it's like, what am I doing here? It's like, what? Why? It's horrible. And I'm laughing because it scares the blazes out of me. I never want to go through that again.
Yeah. Yeah, with that.
If I could, when I do, just think of the name of Jesus and I see his name spelled out. That's what releases it for me. That's what works for me.
Yeah, it should work for other people too.
I've also heard on the news, on TV, it wasn't too long ago, they have a pill for this.
A pill?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were talking about that once.
Oh, please, don't even get me
not
started.
on this show, of course, but...
they probably got a pill for flatulence too.
Yeah,
which one works better?
Oh, and one of the side effects of this pill is sleep paralysis. Isn't that funny?
No, whatever.
So they think they can stop it by that. And who knows what it is? But these on the thing about dreaming.
We didn't have this as children growing up.
No, no.
Not so much as young children. If you're dreaming it, you'll probably wake up and find out you're actually pinned in bed in the physical world too. On majority of cases, is what we found from doing the work and everything like that. And that was my case where I was dreaming and then I woke up and it was happening too. Same environment, That's strange. But these, sleep paralysis is like a venom. It's like, and sometimes only half of you is paralyzed, but that's rare. That's the first thing I thought Chris was going to say. He got out of bed. No, you would have been pinned in bed. You wouldn't be able to get up. You wouldn't be able to move your legs. It'd be like lead. Like when you're a kid and you're running from Frankenstein in a dream and it's like the Kansas wrote a song called Mysteries and Mayhem. Like I think my legs feel like they're made of lead, and that's so common, people running through dreams and running from some monster when you're a kid and you can't run. Now, like, what's the point of that? You're trying to run up the steps. It's like, get up the steps. I can do this in real life. If you try to swing a punch, it's like trying to throw a punch in water.
We have a question from the chat room, you guys, and thanks, Dawn, for pulling that up. Wikipedia is a good source, but doesn't quite cover everything. We have a question from Cecilia. What's a definition of an incubus?
Incubus is
yes. Please, let's talk about that for a few minutes.
It's supposed to be the male counterparts of the succubus, but demons don't have a definitive gender. But it's geared towards women or people who might have a sexual interest in a male of any nature or something. And so So it might attack people that consider themselves, lesbians or something too. So, but it can be the same spirit as a succubus. So it doesn't have to be a separate demon to be a succubus or an incubus. It just changes it. Now I'll give you an example why that's true. So there was one case we're working on where there was an incubus case known to have been in a house, and then when the next people moved in, or someone spent the night on another case in the same room, the experience was different. It was a succubus. It didn't go like, oh, well, I'm an incubus, so I'll have to, go at them that way. When it was able to attack or affect the person in the room, it acted like an oppressing sexual molestation attempt, Harvey Weinstein style or whatever.
Totally.
But if the person wasn't into that thing, so to speak, it would turn itself into a succubus. So. Yep. No matter what you see, and they distorted that documentary that I was trying to explain a story, and then you had one of these people, whatever her name, Michelle Bellinger, God bless her, but you can't go to these stupid paranormal encyclopedias and define what a succubus and incubus is. Like, she does this, she does that. No, stop that. Yeah. Because the demons will change themselves on the fly. The incubus is succubus to match whatever, and they'll, whatever your fetish is or something. But if an impure spirit, immoral spirit, has its ground, it'll become whatever you want it to or whatever you don't want it to be, depending on how it's, trying to oppress you and affect you. Michael, so let's hear what Michael's got to say real quick. Michael over there, our correspondent in California.
Van Halen belt.
Out there in the trenches.
All I can say about the succubus spirits is I hate them. I hate them. When you deal with this stuff, because sometimes they find yourself like in a room with the people who are experienced, they'll come by and grope you or do something too.
Oh my, 2 for 1.
Right? And I'll look at either if I brought a woman and we work with a woman.
You didn't sign up for that.
Okay, it's after you too now. Great.
I was like, oh, this is attractive. I didn't, ask for this.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
You got a dog at home that your wife leaves that'll grope you.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, there is some legends out there that are really kind of retarded.
Right, I tell you the weirdest cases I ever had with encountering succubus. That's when I started talking with Father Jerry Thomas years ago. Was women that came off meth. I remember I showed this before.
Mm-hmm.
That the Mexican gangs were blessing this stuff with succubus spirits.
Oh no!
Oh no!
And we had this weird outbreak of people that came off meth. They got off the meth. They saw these succubus. Like, what's the common link here? It was always a former meth addict.
Oh my goodness!
Wow, see there's your diagnostic there. And the fact that you had an inside look and found out that was going on, that curse.
Yeah,
that's amazing in itself that it revealed itself. That's why you got to pray, folks out there, that the source reveals itself, because it's just not going to reveal itself because of your battery of tactics. You got to pray for extra help.
Right.
Holy Spirit, or that it reveals itself to you on some physical level to give you something more concrete. Sometimes we're not sure if the demon's like trying to give subliminal suggestions that this is what it is, or or what. But yeah, that's some great little piece of information there. Yeah, those are such a nasty type of thing to work with, and
pretty freaky.
Who wants to be molested? Period, and then have a spirit come upon you just because you're praying for somebody who's oppressed?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That is just, it's another realm in itself. We went. We'll go into that topic on another show too. But you can't really talk about dreams and not talk about succubus and incubus because of their nature. They do start in dreams, and it's like their testing ground. They want to see how you're reacting in dreams. People say, "Oh, well, your dreams, whatever you do in your dreams now." And psychologists will say that too. But no, it's not necessarily true. There's a part of you that's in the dream that if you make a bad choice in a dream, next on deck, they'll see if they can tempt you in life to get you to push it over the edge. It's in your mind.
So true.
You agreed to it. Now, it's not like because you're in a dream and you have some dream and then you forget your kids, your wife, or your spouse, or whoever is not there. It's weird. How would you totally forget you have kids, a wife, or what job, and what place you live at, and all that kind of things? No, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
But they somehow contest your morality.
And don't forget, it's easier for incubus and succubus to enter your dream state, because when we're sleeping and dreaming, we're on a different plane. It's easier for them to enter.
Good point. That's actually quite metaphysical of you, Deb. A different plane. Yeah, they're entering it. There's something different about when you're in dreams, that you're not in this world, Dorothy, and that it's easy for them to visit you. We have in our list, more or less, if you think about like Saint Joseph, all the saints and people who have received dreams, and Saint Joseph just said, I'm taking you to Egypt, but it said an angel told me to dream. Oh, that's confidence. That was also probably a very vivid dream, too, that he had it in his dream. He didn't have something profound like it appeared before him, and then it told him, and then he said, okay, I go. He had it in a dream. St. Joseph got up. He took the woman and the child.
Exactly.
They fled into Egypt, and here comes Herod killing all the babies. Herod's armies, anyway, you know. And then some of these people who had dreams that were prophetic too. I guess I would assume they're going to be lucid, because they have to seem more realistic instead of obscure. That's what I was trying to get at with the lucid thing, right? So you guys think that more, if you had a dream that turned out to be a prophecy, you were in an ant dying, was it very lucid? Farah, was that a common denominator there, or could it have been an obscure with like hints when you had a dream that something came true, and it was too unusual for it to be just one of those things?
Well, I think that Mike nailed something that a lot of us don't really think about, because dreams are usually a combination of a mess of jumbled wires, or potentially a situation that we need to work out that we didn't work out during our waking hours.
Yeah.
Very rarely is, our guardian angel trying to communicate something with us that God needs us to know.
Thank God.
And usually dreams are symbols. And, I know that from experience, having some very, very disturbing dreams, pointed to something that I wasn't ready to deal with. And I didn't know for years later what it was. So it's a good idea to have somebody that you trust, a pastor, a spiritual director that you can talk to if you have disturbing dreams, or a dream that repeats over and over again. And it just seems quite benign, but you just are not aware of what the dream could be. So.
Yeah. By the way, sleep paralysis and incubus succubus cases are very closely linked. It doesn't mean it's going to go to that. Like I said, it's kind of like a venom, but you'll see sleep paralysis in there, part of it most often. So we tie that. Well, by the way, there was a time, and we talked about it just on another show, though, where I just asked a lot of people out of the sleep paralysis kind of question, and I went to everybody, because I had, you and Lorraine Warren, just to ask if they had a lot of cases still, even if they have some ideas we disagree with. I asked all of those people, have any of the cases of sleep paralysis been medical? And they all said no. Now, they don't say that publicly because they don't want to be ridiculed by the science community to some degree. They want to stay in the middle. Don't do that stuff. I mean, just to please some certain faction. If your experience has been all sleep paralysis was spiritual in nature and not physical, and you can't always prove it for the most part. But when they're oppressed, you suspect it when everything else is underlining, night visits and shadows, 3 a.m. wake-ups and oppression, all these things, and later possession. I mean, you're going to believe that had to be it, among other things. So the red flag list is heavy and a lot of check marks. But don't assume things by default, and don't assume things just to appease the other side to make yourself seem more credible or whatever. Because what makes you not credible is when you actually say things just to be politically correct, or to make it seem like you're not. I don't want to be dumb down the science part of it. No, we're not saying it's always. I'm just saying that every case that I've dealt with. And that's why I was asking them, and I knew I could get them to tell me on the phone. Not in an interview, I wouldn't put them on the spot like that. If that's what they want to do, to be taken seriously also by the psychology, parapsychology side, or whatever you call it. That's up to them. I could care less what the parapsychologists think, or the psychologist, Though I'm sure that all you share that same idea and opinion on that. So I'm in a Dreamweaver kind of scenario. People have had, I don't want to just dig on the dark stuff, of course, but we can lighten it up a little bit. Do you call, some dreams seem like they might have been near death? You think that one of you or somebody you know might have actually died in their sleep temporarily and then had a near-death experience in their sleep and then woke up as though you've been put back in your body, like when you're being revived, like you had when you're getting revived after you drowned, Farah, for example? That's kind of a strange thing, but still, it's like almost like at that death's door, you're in almost the same, it's like you're in the same plane as Deb was talking about a plane.
You experience death in your dreams? I bet, well, they
Or
say that.
Ken, how about like when you're just about to fall asleep? You're not fully asleep, you're just about to fall asleep, then all of a sudden your whole body jumps. I'm sure everybody's experienced that.
Oh, yeah. That little synapse of nerves.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember bringing it up before.
That's funny.
Did I ever twitch with you, Farah? Do you remember, when we were real close?
You know what's so funny, Ken? I haven't gone, like, say, Arnie and I go to bed. He falls asleep before me. Okay? And he'll go out instantly. And then all of a sudden he jumps. Well, that'll scare the hell out of me because I'm not sleeping yet.
Yeah.
And I go,
oh my gosh, I
forgot about that.
Woke up in time before he fell off the edge.
Yeah, I used to really dig in there, try to research these things, and now it's just like we're just trying to solve problems, and I find the research has really was useless.
Yes.
Like sleeping on my stomach thing, and I interviewed a lot of people about that and near-death experiences, and it's really not useful in what we do at all in getting it done. But it was fascinating, so there had to be something to drive me on that, like intellectual, pursuit or whatever. But that reminds me of something I used to ask in the past. I think we should probably get on some solutions so people have a solution before they go to bed. And we can talk a little bit more next week if we think it's justified. We only have about 10 minutes left in the show.
5.
Sarah says 5, and I agree with her.
5 minutes.
5
We've been
minutes.
live for 1 minute 51
Don't
seconds,
forget
52,
to like
so it's
the
8 minutes.
video, folks.
4 minutes now. You used that 1 minute up.
That's right. Like
8
the
minutes.
video,
It's 8 minutes.
subscribe, so you guys can come back and have more fun with all us goof nuggets. All right, we're at Kenneth and Farah Deel, OFS, or, you find us at The Real Deals on YouTube.
Come on, don't rush everybody off.
That's right. Nobody's rushed off, but you know what? This is the last with the fast 5.
Hey, Farah, are you and Ken working on another book yet?
Yep.
When do you think it'll be out?
Well, it just depends. Depending on what's going on this summer, it could be as soon as Halloween.
You might have to write some
Really?
sort of short guide for the diocese.
Yeah, there's a couple of them we're working on because we're finding that with new cases that we're taking, that we're finding shortcut prayers. What do we mean by shortcut prayers? Okay, anybody that's been in the kitchen and knows that there's certain shortcuts you can take when you're baking a cake, or you need something to rise fast or whatever. There's little Mike, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, let's do things this way to see if we can get the rise out of the bread instead of waiting the hour and a half. Okay, let's just take care of this now instead of causing ourselves more problems. So we're talking about putting a really good action-packed prayer book together that everybody can use, everybody can refer to, that are going to be just very easy. And it's going to be like something that you can just pick up and go, okay, I need this, scroll down, and go, okay, no problem. I open it right up. This is what I got. This is what I do for 3 days. This is what I do for 6 days. This is what I do for 10 days. This is how I can just offer this up. This kind of thing. We want something out there. It's like, okay, if you want to make cocktails, what do? You buy a bartender's guide, all right? If you want to dress up like in cosplay as a mouse, what do? You go find a pattern. Right, okay, but what do you do if you've lost your job, your family's treating you like garbage, you're having nightmares, you think you're having sleep paralysis, you think you see somebody following, you're like, okay, well, I'm not really haunted, but I'm having some issues. Okay, and I know I'm Christian, I got to say some prayers. Okay, what is, where do you turn? There's tons of great books on spiritual warfare. There's tons of great prayer books, but you want just like an instant little recipe book. My recipe book out of, my mental wacko-ness, you need something that is going to be clear, concise, and have what you need. So Ken and I are working, that's one of them. But
you talked about a documentary I did in the past, and you brought it up again lately. It's like we should really try to do that. Of course, we're going to have to probably travel or get someone to travel with us to get the interviews in.
Mike's got frequent flyer Myers. Maybe he can get us on the Van Halen belt with him. We can go up to the North Pole and go check out the Northern Lights together. I'm sure there's some messages out there on the Northern Lights.
I think the more we can get the facts out there and education, and we've been trying to push this stuff since 2000. But when you get it done and how much you get done is another story in itself.
Oh, I know. I got to redo
And
the
also, next week we'll be on vacation for the holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you for announcing that, Deb. Next week, kidlets, Maundy Thursday. What does Maundy Thursday mean?
It means it's Monday
Means
also.
we're all Maundy. Holy Week. Christopher,
Christopher,
do you want to explain how to be Maundy?
Don't tell me you get a yellow jar. Does it have something to do with a yellow jar of liquid?
Your explanation sounds a lot better.
Oh, that's Gandhi. Sorry about that.
Not Gandhi.
Gandhi Thursday.
Gandhi.
What am I
That's
doing?
right. We be Gandhi.
Thursday.
We be Gandhi. We ain't gone. We just gone. We're Gandhi Thursday.
Yeah,
Gandhi.
Oh, you guys, where's my crackers?
Gandhi. Yeah, good grief.
So next week we won't be on the air.
No, we will not be on the air, kids.
Holiday.
We're actually going to be anticipating. We're going to be anticipating the next time we get to see you.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised, if we pop in and say we miss you.
Yeah, we might do some kind of light. We'll probably do it from one of the, some sort of pop in.
Ken
5
can't
minute
stay off the air.
I think you got that right.
sure.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure he'll be in, and so will you, to pop in to say Happy Easter.
I'll drag
No, I'm gonna pop in to say, excuse me, honey, I need you in the backyard now. Can you get off the air now, please? Thank you. Hi, everyone.
And I'll say no. That's why
closer
I'm
to
on the
truth.
air
I
to
get
stay out of the back.
Very, very, very close to the truth, yes. The weather is finally starting to break. When you see the squirrels jumping on each other like kung fu fighting experts midair, and the robins, oh my gosh, the robins are full frontal assault. It's like, there's something in the air.
I just don't know what
Besides
it
the
is.
pollen.
Well, I don't have any of that up here yet. I still have snowballs.
Okay, without the tease, what do you do when you have nightmares and that sort of thing? Get a St. Benedict medal. Wear it before you go to bed and wear it during the night. Don't wear it under your, you don't put it in your pocket or anything like that. Put it on your neck. Say your prayers before you go to bed. Protection prayers, your binding prayers. Bless your room. Bless yourself. Bless your kids, too. And then you bless your room, that something won't even be able to come in there. Of course, bless your whole house, and then when you're in your house, to stand in your doorway, freak you out waking up there, and then all of the paranormal enthusiasts out there, oh, it's a watcher. Oh, no, he's not just watching you. He's messing with your dreams when he's standing there in the least. So the protection prayers of that nature, specific ones, and go any deeper, like Deb said, if you have sleep paralysis, just shout the name of Jesus with your mind, your thoughts, directing towards whatever is holding you in position. Just to try anything. Don't just sit there and take it. Just because, I don't believe in Jesus or anything like that. Do it anyway. I've told people the exact thing. You don't believe in Jesus? Do it anyway. And, of course, when they got desperate, they try anything.
Right.
And they're already glad. I don't even believe in Jesus and it'll work. Well, they do.
And that is
the spirits that pinned you in bed are spirit. Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, so you know what, people? We appreciate that you had taken your time out of your busy schedules to watch,
To hang out with
listen.
us. Never forget that
Chat.
the battle's already been won, kids, and we're just here to help you win the fight and do it right. So, like I said, like, subscribe. We all thank you for joining us. Enjoy your Holy Week, your celebrations, and good food, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
See what day
Be
is that
there.
real quick. What is it? It's
What day is it?
April
It
5th?
is-
First is Easter.
April 5th?
Well, yeah, it's got to be April already.
Yeah, April 5th. April 5th. Yeah.
April 5th, folks.
Well, to be announced.
Okay, to be announced, because I don't know what day I'm in either. I'm just going to go sit in the corner. I'm going to play with my Play-Doh, and I'm going to take my little bottle of wine. Cheers,
Play-Doh,
kids.
Play-Doh. Good night, folks. God bless.
Good
Hope you
night,
enjoyed
Christopher.
the show
Good
and
night,
at least-
Mr.
Good night.
Norton.
Right.
Good night, Deb. Good night, Bubbles.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Ellen. What's the rest of the Walton?